Object shows. What can I say about them? It all started with BFDI back in 2010. Then we got stuff like Inanimate Insanity, Object Mayhem, Challenge to Win, and now I have so many of them that I can't even keep track of. Some of them are good, some of them are bad. Scratch that, most of them are bad. Bad animation, bare-bone plots, terrible dialogue, and little to no character development. However, this object show manages to be bad in an interesting way, and I think it's worth looking into it. I, of course, am referring to Object Terror. Object Terror is an object show made by Legoboynj Animations. It started back in November of 2016 and it has 4 episodes out so far. As you may have guessed, I'm not particularly fond of this show, so I'll go in depth about why that is. I want to start with the positives. The animation looks pretty good, except for when it's not. Like, seriously, the boss scene in episode 2 looks absolutely horrendous. But besides that, the animation is good most of the time. Another good aspect of this show is that it has some good concepts. While it does follow the traditional object show format, I find the challenges in each episode to be pretty creative, except for episode 1. I really don't want to be mean, but even the good aspects of this show aren't that good. Now, let's get on to the bad stuff. The first problem we might notice about this show is that the voice acting is awful. For some characters, it comes down to bad microphone quality. The worst offender would have to be Coffee Cop in episodes 1 and 2. He sounds like he has a fan in his throat.
I wouldn't consider it bullying since all he's doing is brag. He's such a sock puppet.
And that is really distracting. But for some, it simply feels like the voice actors weren't given enough direction.
I know 2 people that hate both of them, Magazine and Biscuit. You 2 are the only ones here who hate both Carpet and Mint. Who else could it be? You're hiding something, Magazine. What is it?
This is a problem you can easily fix by doing live recording sessions on Discord or Skype or something, and give the voice actors more direction until they have a good take. Chances are they might not get the right inflections just from reading the script. The voice acting isn't even the biggest problem with this show. What ruins it completely by far is the characters. They're all either terribly annoying or awfully bland. There's not a single character I like on this show, and I will go a bit in depth on the characters I have the biggest problems with. Starting with Magazine. I complained about the voice acting earlier, but her voice acting is the absolute worst.
Yes, they did! The cats are being annoying to me at Biscuit! I just had to kill them!
Other than that, there's not much interesting at all. Another character I need to talk about is Beep Boop. He had a text-to-speech voice in episode 1, which was pretty fitting considering he's a robot.
Jumping off a cliff at a high distance can cause pain and injury. Death is also possible.
But then they changed his voice to...
Do not for a new robot voice. Don't it sound much sexier now?
The worst part is that they try to pass this as being funny. How this is funny in any way is beyond me. And the annoying voice is his only trait. He's a complete non-entity aside of that. While I'm on the note of characters that are only a joke, I might as well get Mint and El Nudel Spider out of the way. Mint is a stereotype, nothing more than an annoying character who spouts random words and is completely useless.
Yeah, whatever! He's ugly anyways!
Stinky socks!
El Nudel Spider was a bad joke, randomly joined the game and got eliminated first. He's as much of a non-entity as it gets. Carpet is much less annoying than I thought he was going to be. Simply put, in a good object show, he would probably be my least favorite character. In this, however, he is among the more bearable ones. His thing in episode 1 is that he wanted a girlfriend, and because Stapler was the only one stupid enough to agree to go out with him because he gave her $50, her character becomes being Carpet's girlfriend, while Carpet becomes barely more than a background character. Now, what was Stapler's character beforehand? Memes. Just making terribly unfunny memes. Now, I can understand the show having one one-off joke character, but this show just has so many of these. By far, the worst character out of all is Arch, who is a... This is another example of the show being under the impression that screaming automatically makes things funny. Newsflash, it doesn't. Literally every single line he says is ear-bleedingly awful, and that's his whole personality. He screams at people and his only friend is Mint. How fitting. Fart is the only character with decent voice acting, but I forgot he existed because he does nothing. Trowel is probably my favorite purely because of his voice. You see, he is voiced by 100DCX, the creator of Challenge to Win, which is actually a very good object show, Go and watch it. Just ignore the first 7 episodes. Either way, the thing is that 100 DCX has an accent you can recognize from a mile away.
Well, we will show him this picture of a spooky minion. Tie a rope to 2 poles on the cliff, and he will fall off and face plant in the water.
Combined with the fact that he probably had very little direction with this, and every time Trials says something, I can only imagine Blue Planet saying all of that.
I want to get to the museum so badly right now. Don't you agree, Beer?
And that's funnier than anything else the show ever does. Maybe developing these characters beyond one-note jokes or being completely unlikable could solve this major problem. This show also tries to be funny, but it fails. Half of the jokes are a character making a loud noise and we're expected to find it funny. Now, on to another major problem with this show. The fact that the characters are objects is pretty relevant. The only 2 times I remember this being brought up is when Skittle is eating Skittles and when Flash Drive falls into water and breaks. For crying out loud, these guys even bleed. Why do objects bleed? Objects shouldn't bleed. If the logic of the world is that objects are sentient, that's fine, but why do they bleed? I swear, it's only because this show wants to be edgy so hard. And I don't understand why now. Being edgy is not necessarily a bad thing, but it's extremely forced here. It just feels very forced because that's not the tone the show generally has. Overall, Object Terror is a show that I expected more out of. While there are many worse object shows out there, this show actually feels competent, which makes the many flaws in it more apparent. It's not as unbearable as something like Battle for Isle Sleep, where you're just hating every aspect of it. Though it's not over the top ridiculously bad like Random Object Battle Royale, to the point where you can laugh at its ridiculousness. It's in a spot where it's not good enough to actually enjoy it, but it's not bad enough to claim that it's so bad that it's good. All that being said, I give Object Terror a 3 out of 10. However, I believe it can improve. Hey, I just finished editing the video and I'm kinda sick right now, so my voice sounds weird, but yeah, that was my first attempt at reviewing something, and I am planning on reviewing more object shows in the future. If you guys liked it, make sure to like and subscribe to my channel, and recommend other object shows for me to review next. This is kind of a different thing. I've never really done this before, but I'm eager to see how you guys will like it. Yeah, thanks, bye.